So, what I did for this speech today was give you a little bit of what is in the back of my book called the Cowgirl Power Toolkit. And I wanted to give you some highlights from that because I hope that's your big takeaway if you do read the book. But here's some tips from that. The path to success is not a straight line. So many of us think that you can plan your life. You certainly have goals. Some of you may want to start a business. Some of you may have already started a business. Some of you are doing careers that are exciting. Some of you are thinking about changing, all the things that happen to us as life kind of comes along. So I always want to tell people that it's not ever going to be a straight line. So many times I had my eye on a prize, I was getting ready to do that, and then something would come and kick me back, and I'd have to start over again. But if you don't lose your courage, if you don't lose your determination, those things that get in your way and kick you back won't defeat you. So think about this. Now, my next point is everything is sweetened by risk. When I started my company, I used to tell people I eat risk for breakfast. That's what my life is like every day, getting up and hitting it and trying to make a success of a small little company in Austin, Texas, of all places, because in 1989, when I started the company, Austin was a very sleepy little town. So what do you do better than anyone else? And you might say to yourself, well, I'm not sure I do anything better than everyone else. But certainly you have innate strengths and talents that no one can take away from you. And these are the things that you really, really should develop in your life. The thing that is really important about this is knowing what you're good at, getting better and better. Become an expert in something you're passionate about, something that you're naturally good at. Because once you do this, you're going to become more confident every time you take a step into the things you do well and shine among your peers and your friends and your family. Then you become more confident. As you build confidence, you will also become more assertive. And that is what, as women and men, we need to do. But I think sometimes women are a little less assertive than maybe men because we don't believe we're really competent in something. And yes, you are. Yes, you are. And take those risks and take those leaps because you are good at certain things. Learn what they are and build on those. Leave the weaknesses and the flaws behind. All right, so you see on the front of my book, I talk about kick-ass. This is something I have said all my life. Now, you have to understand, you can tell I'm from Texas. This accent's pretty hard to hide. And so I started my little company, T3, in 1989. I cashed in a $16,000 IRA, and other than that, my family was pretty much broke. It was a terrible recession. And I decided to jump out. I got mad at my boss and quit and decided I'd start my little company with not much going for me actually at the time, but except for fear and determination, kind of like Annie Oakley. I had to do something to help my family survive because we were all in really bad shape, like I said. So I was going to dinner one night with my husband, and Lee can goad me and push me like nobody else. So he sat down and he said, okay, so you've started this little advertising agency in Austin, Texas. Great. That's the only thing we needed is another ad agency during a recession in Austin, Texas. And he said, what are you going to do to differentiate yourself? And of course, this is a secret to anybody in branding and advertising and marketing. It's what do you do to stand out? So I went on these little diatribes and I would say, we're going to be the science and the art together. We're going to put together great strategies and plans, win awards. And he went on and on. And finally he just said, bullshit. He said, you're confusing me. How do you think anyone out there is going to know what you're trying to do? So about 3 glasses of wine into this conversation, I stamped my hand on the table and I said, damn it, we're going to do kick-ass work for clients who want to kick ass. He got up, went to the bar, got a napkin, wrote it on the napkin, and that still hangs in the lobby of my company today. Thank you. So here's one of my most famous pieces of advice, and it's called listen to your gut. The biggest mistakes I have ever made in my life was when I let logic and my head overrule what was in here. Your gut is that unconscious tangling of all the experiences you've had in your entire life, and 99% of the time it is right. So if you do something that your head says that's the logical thing, yes, you want to think logically, of course, but always do that gut check, because that's the time that you're really going to find that you'll be real, you'll be authentic, and that's what people love about you. So here's one thing I love to tell everybody, especially the younger employees and younger people that I talk to, is to understand the money. Now here's what I mean by that. If you are working in a company, if you have your own company, if you are assisting in another company, whatever, even a nonprofit, you have to know exactly how that organization makes money. Where do the profits come from? Who are the customers? And how do you get involved in that? Because when you do, all of a sudden you have more power than you ever thought you had. Now, here's something that if you don't take anything else away today, that I hope you remember, because this is a very, very dear thing for me. I might have mentioned, or you'll read in the book if you read it, that my father died when I was 13. And we didn't have much money, and so I had to go to work. I started engraving at a jewelry store at age 13, which was a risky job in itself. And I did remember, though, this one thing my dad used to say to me over and over, even as a little girl. And he would say, Gay, meet people where they are. And here's what I mean by that. I don't care if you are serving soup at the Salvation Army. I don't care if you get invited to the White House to a state dinner. I want you to show up and be in the moment with each person that you are with. I want you to be appropriate. I want you to understand them, because each person out there can hold a piece of your puzzle. And if you find that, it's so rewarding, and it gives you these opportunities that you never would have thought of if you don't really take on every opportunity to meet somebody right where they are. Surround yourself with smart people. Well, I don't have to keep saying this, because that's the secret to my entire career. So here are the key takeaways and some of the things in my book. The path to success is not a straight line. What do you do better than anyone else? Or at least tell everybody you're doing it better than them, right? Listen to your gut. It's always right. Say no. We always say you have to say yes to stuff, but sometimes just say no. It's a complete sentence. Nelson Mandela said no is a complete sentence. And you don't have to explain sometimes why no, because we get overwhelmed sometimes with all these things we commit to, and it just becomes too much. So sometimes you got to give yourself a break and say no. Understand the money. Very important. It will give you more power than you ever thought you could have. Meet people where they are. It will enrich your life. Surround yourself with smart, wonderful people. Timeline your life, and don't separate work from family, because it's all one thing called life.